has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Carver High always wants to check in on my health status due to the many times I've been near death here at SportsGrid. The Coumadin blood level test today was another pass. That's another month off of going to the cardiologist. That's 2 months in a row. I passed that test. And they thought all that liquor was going to screw up my blood tests, sneaky nurses and doctors. And then I went to my apnea specialist, Dr. Villa, and I got a A. I graded out as an A, Carver High, with my performance. Only one incident a night. I averaged 7 hours of sleep, no snoring. I wear my Bane mask. I promise you the Live Tour will merge with the PGA. I got an A there, and I got a blood pass. I don't have to go to the sleep doctor now for 6 months till October 25th, Carver High. It's a Friday at 10:30 in the morning. Put it in your calendar.
That's, I think Bane might be the only guy who might be able to actually pull that off, getting the PGA and the Live Tour together. We might need to get Bane in the room with Jay Monahan and Greg Norman and all these guys to finally figure it out. Jeez. There is a final in the afternoon baseball. The Cardinals won 5-1 over the Snakes in St. Louis. Giants and the Mets are underway. Scoreless in the bottom of the first at Oracle. And as we mentioned before last hour, the Orioles and the Angels start in about 3 or 4 minutes out in Anaheim off the freeway there. We'll do all the rest of the baseball coming up in a little bit because we have a big slate tonight, plenty of games. But first, we will start with tonight's NBA. Only 2 games for us, which is highly unfortunate. It feels like we're already in like this. When they give me 2 games, Scotty, it's like we're already in the second or third round. Like you said it yesterday, you hate when there's like less and less games every night. It's like the NBA is trying to do that to us tonight. It's a good thing there's 3 hockey games, though.
Thank God.
Along with the 2 NBA games. So we have that going for us. The Heat down 1-0 in Boston. No Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier. It was a little physical at the end of this last game. Remember they had that play where Caleb Martin was throwing Jason Tatum around on the floor, Scotty, and everybody had an uproar because there was the only exciting thing that happened in a 20-point blowout? Eric Spoelstra said everybody needs to calm down. This is a very tough and physical basketball series. Don't worry about stuff like that.
That's the playoffs. That's the fun part also for fan bases. It was an irrational assessment on our view of what actually happened, and the players are fine. None of that is, all the outside, noise or anything like that is not going to decide the series or the game. This is good, clean, tough, physical playoff basketball, and it always has been with Boston and us. It's not going over the top. The league doesn't need to look into anything more on either side, put extra eyes on it. This is just tough, competitive basketball. This is what everybody wants. This is what the fans want, the players want, teams want, and even the league. They want this level of competition, that they're seeing.
They're always in it, and they're always winning, and they're always advancing, and they're always going to the finals. And this year, that's not happening. They are not winning this series. They have not been good this year. They've been average. That's why they are the 8. That's why they got their ass beat by 20 in game 1. I do not believe for 1 minute, though, they're getting blown out tonight. I think the number's too high. And I like the over. I think the Heat will be in the game. I think the key for the game for me is twofold. One, they've got to get Hero Sandwich some space. They've got to get him coming off screens and get his shots. He's got to score. He is a pure scorer. And when they shut him down the other night, they were finished. You cannot just have Bam Adebayo hitting that popper from underneath the free throw line as your only offense. They got to run sets for Hero to be open. And Martin and everyone has to do a better job of getting some space and knocking down some looks. It's that simple. I think they'll be in the game tonight. I do not believe this is another 20-point blowout at the Garden. I think they might cover the number. I'm betting more interest from my money on the total. But I do think the Heat can cover tonight. I really do.
Well, here is that number. Of course, it's very heavy. It's 2 tutties and a half, 14 and a half for the Heat tonight in Boston. And that total that you were talking about, 205 and a half. So once again, another total very, very low in the 200s. We've seen a lot of unders.
The only way that the Heat can win this game, if it turns into another low-scoring game where they're unable to put the ball in the hole, they're dead. They have to score. They have to run. They have to get some looks in transition. They've got to get Hero open. This has got to happen for them to have any success. I think they're going down 2 and going back to Miami down 2. The question is, I don't believe a team can get whacked by 20 and not a Spoelstra team show up for the second game. Tonight is kind of desperate mode for the Heat. They have to play better in this game if they're going to establish anything towards going home. If they go home playing this badly, it doesn't matter. I think they're going to get whacked. They'll lose in 4 or 5. It'll be over. So all I know is they got to score tonight. So that's why I'm hoping for an over that low total.
Look, I think that they could stay within this number tonight, but I don't think they can win a game in this series. I think that they're just so undermanned without having Butler and Rozier out there from an offensive standpoint. I just can't see it. I think they can cover these 2 touchdown numbers if you're going to keep throwing them, and it won't be this high in Miami, of course, when they go down there. But I just don't see how they're beating this team if they're completely healthy and they bring everybody out on the court in Boston. Here is the most bet player props for tonight for this game. The Zinger at the top of the list for an under. Are you kidding me? Under 2.5 threes for the Zinger. Caleb Martin over 7.5 points. Kevin Love over 11.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Derek White under 3.5 rebounds. DeLon Wright over 5.5 points. They're spreading it around at the window, Scotty. The most bet player props for tonight.
Well, I like the Zinger to go over and hit 3 threes.
Me too. We're going against everyone. Let's take that over on the Zinger.
Yeah.
Over 2.5.
I like Martin over 7.5 points, and I like Love PRA over 11.5. I mean, if they get Love involved, because he can play, he's smart, he can knock down a shot, get a rebound, and he can make the right pass. I think he's the perfect veteran on this team. That's why he's there. Spoelstra, they all love him. I think that number's easy tonight for him, 11.5 PRA. I think that is an easy bet to make. I have no problem. The other 2 at the bottom, I want no part of.
Yeah, I'm next break, I'm running in on the Porzingis over. The most bet is for him to go under 2.5 threes. We're going after it tonight at the Garden. The late game, of course, is the Pelicans and the Thunder. They played a real good one on Sunday night, game 2 here, with the Thunder up 1-0. So I believe it was 9.5 in game 1, right? 8.5, 9.5 in that first game. Cover for the Pels. Drops down a little bit tonight. 7.5 is the number with a 211.5 total.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, all the sharps are on the Pelicans tonight in that game. And I thought they played great in game 1. There's no denying it. I still believe that the Thunder should win this game by 10 or more. I really do. I don't think they played well in game 1. I don't think they handled the moment in game 1. I don't think they handled being the one very well. They were not themselves. They're lucky they won the game. They won by a bucket. I think they're going to play a lot faster tonight. I think they're going to rip and run tonight. I think Abe Lincoln's going to have a better game, a la Chet Holmgren. I think Shea's going to have a better game. I think they all are. I think Jay Will's going to have a better game. I think this one goes over as well. And believe it or not, I think the Pelicans are going to get worked tonight by 10 or more.
I'll give you the player props for that when we come back, and then we'll get into the baseball here on Coast to Coast.
people that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
So what are the prop bets for tonight's game in OKC, Mike?
Yeah, here is where everybody is looking at for tonight. Trey Murphy over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Josh Giddey under 20.5 points, rebounds, assists. Jalen Williams over 23.5 points, rebounds, assists. Herbert Jones over 1.5 threes. And Brandon Ingram over 19.5 points. That is one guy, Scotty, they absolutely could use a lot more from, and that is Ingram.
All right, so I think the key for me as a OKC bettor would be they've got to stop Murphy. You know, he went 21-4-2. That's why that number is where it is at 26.5 because he was at 27. I think they keep him under. I think Giddey's an under. I like that play. I like Jay Will over on that bet. I'm not interested in Herb Jones. He hit 2 threes in game 1. And then I think Brandon Ingram over 19.5 is always doable for the Pelicans. The bottom line is OKC has to get more from Dort. I thought Dort was terrible in the game. It was just absolutely lifeless.
Yeah.
And they've got to get, and they did get, Williams, Holmgren, and Shea Gilgeous playing. I thought Giddey was awful. Bottom line, Dort and Giddey were awful. Tonight they won't be. That's the difference in the game. A 2-point game turns into a 10-point game when all 5 of your starters produce, and not when 3 of them show up for the game and 2 others are wishing they were home with mommy.
Final thing from this series, I did see Zion yesterday talking to the media where he thinks it's realistic that he could play at some point in this series. I mean, I guess maybe they were saying more in like the game 5 or 6 range.
Game 5.
That it could possibly. But, they got to get there first. They got to get to that point in the series. And I do think that that's a very quick for that type of injury that he had. And look, I'll give him credit because he's out there and he's trying and he wants to do it. Because a lot of people have bashed this guy for the last few years about how much he's injured and he's fat and he's this and he's that. He's trying to bust his ass and get back out there. So I'll give him some credit there.
Yeah, I don't care what people say or think about him. He is a incredible, fantastic basketball player. That's just all there is to it. And This is a grown man's violent league, and guys get injured. I won't deny he's had too many injuries. Fair enough. But this year, when he plays, he is unstoppable. He's unguardable. He had 40 when he got injured. I mean, this guy is a monster. And I do believe he will be back May 1st for Game 5. He did not tear it. He just tweaked it. It is not the same hamstring injury that he had during the regular season. It's different. I mean, I got injured today, and I can't even explain it. I've never felt it before. I pulled something I didn't even know I had. I mean, it hurts in the front and the back, front of my chest and the back of my back. I'm like, is there a back in the back? Anyway, it just hurts, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. It just hurts. So you're playing a basketball, you get banged up. And if they get him back, look, when they go to the Crescent City, this is, again, going to be a problem for the Thunder. That place is lit, that Smoothie Center. So all these teams going home, Dallas, forget about it. The Clips are in big trouble down there. Same thing here. I think New Orleans is going to be tough to beat at home. I don't think you're going to see that type of game tonight that they played the other night where they should have won. The Pelicans should have won the game. The Thunder didn't know whether they were coming or going. They got to get all 5 guys going, and they cannot let Nance have an 8-8. It's too much. I thought Nance was violent on the boards, played his ass off, was very physical, loose balls, 50-50 balls. They let that guy do whatever he wants. You can't let some guy that never plays, really plays 15 minutes, you can't let that guy go out and have 8-8 in 15 minutes. That's when you know you're getting your ass beat.
I want to try box out Valanciunas a little bit, too. He had 20 boards the other night for the Pelicans also.
No doubt.
I want to try to find a way to keep him away from
Good call. He's a monster.
Well.
He's a big
boy down there. Baseball now. We have a couple games going on, as we know. I want to give you a couple things from last night, and then we have a full slate to get to. The Yankees actually scored some runs last night, Scotty. They beat the A's 4-3. It was all in one inning, so once again, they had 7 innings where they didn't score any runs, but they scored 4 in the first, highlighted by Anthony Rizzo, a 2-run shot on the Yes Network.
The 3-2. Rizzo drives that in the air to right. Deep and gone. Anthony Rizzo breaks out, and so do the Yankee bats. It's a 4 spot in the first.
Yeah, and Giancarlo had a couple of RBIs. I got to give him credit because we make so much fun of him with all of his injuries. He's been, I think Soto, Stanton have been really basically their best players.
Been better than Judge at the plate so far this year, that's for sure.
No doubt.
Judge done nothing so far for the Yankees. So we're waiting for him to finally start busting out. They'll be at it again tonight in the Bronx. We'll give you that in a moment. Let's squeeze in Scotty Ohtani. I jumped on the Dodgers last night, down 1-0 in the 6th inning at plus 125, and Ohtani put the icing on the cake for me in the 9th on Spectrum Sportsnet LA.
Ohtani with an absolute rocket. Forget about it. First game in Nats Park, first home run in Nats Park. 4-1 Dodgers. 423 on Sunday, 450 tonight.
450-foot bomb deep in the seats, almost up by the beers. And he passed Matsui with home runs. Your boy Matsui. I used to sit in the Matsui suite in the Boogie Down Bronx. Mafia remembers those days when we would pass out at the Yankee game in the Matsui suite, decked in booze and comfort.
Everyone loves the Matsui suite at Yankee Stadium. Braves beat the Marlins 5-0. A 3-hit complete game shutout for Max Fried, who had been off to a tough start this year, finally got it going against the Marlin Bats last night. When we come back, I do want to at least give you the Cubs from last night, because not only do the Cubs win those guys, they have a lot of injury problems, and they even have another one that just came down a couple of minutes ago. So I'll give you all that when we come back.
Yeah, Fried looked great against that high school team.
people that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
A popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
the tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad, bad, bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I admit, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Of course, Mafia running with Luke. I am your father on a midweek Where Do You Hurt Wednesday. C2C, good to have you with us along with Carver High. The Cubs keep winning. The Astros keep losing. And when you go back to the Cubs side, they got some injury problems.
They certainly do. So a 7-2 win for the Cubs last night at Wrigley. The Astros, by the way, they are now 10 games under 500 for the first time since 2016. As we always like to say, what a shame. The Astros are 10 games under 500.
Yeah, I just feel awful.
That is. Now, I want to play you this, and it goes a little bit deeper now because this guy was getting very hot at the plate, and unfortunately, he ain't going to be coming to the plate anytime soon for the Cubbies. Cody Bellinger cracked a rib last night going into the wall, Scotty, at Wrigley. That was, of course, after he did this, a 2-run homer on Marquee.
Bellinger crushes one. Right field, way back. Forget it. Out of here. Cody Bellinger, a no-doubter into the bleachers in right, and that quickly, the Cubs jump out, and it's 2-0.
So they lose Bellinger and 2 starting pitchers?
Bellinger's on the IL. Hendricks put on the IL. Drew Smiley put on the IL. So 3 Cubbies go on. I know they're close to getting the Steel Mill back. You know, he made that first start of the year, Scotty, and got hurt. Who we love. He pitched great last year, and he's been on the IL since the first week of the season. So they need him back in a big way. They're calling up their top prospect, Pete Crow Armstrong, to get into the lineup. But Bellinger was starting to tear up, and now he is going to be out. They do not have a timetable for his return, which is very unfortunate. Royals beat the Jays 3-2 last night. As far as the Rangers go, Max Scherzer is set for his first rehab start, and they also signed Johnny Cueto to a minor league deal. They want to get all the old pitchers down there in Ranger land. Huh, Scotty? Scherzer, Cueto, get them all dealing.
Yeah, I think Cueto's finished, and I think Scherzer is too. I got to say, I don't deny that Max Scherzer has had a great career. I don't deny that he can still pitch. I do question how long he'll last. I mean, here's another guy that has got, have you ever seen anything like the amount of injuries this guy has? For a pitcher, he's just constantly out constantly on the IL, constantly missing months at a time, every single year. And you're putting your faith in him. Remember, they won the World Series last year, and he had nothing to do with it. Nothing.
Yep. Zero. Had absolutely zero to do with it, that's for sure. Let's get to tonight in baseball. I do want to tell you the Mets have jumped out in front of the Giants. A 2-run homer for Francisco Lindor. So 2-0 Mets in the third in San Francisco. They're trying to get themselves a game out there against the Giants. We'll start tonight in Cleveland. Red Sox and the Guardians getting together again. The Guardians now 17-6 on the year. Carlos Carrasco goes for Cleveland. Cooper Criswell is going to go for the Sox. Guardians minus $140, plus 120 for the Sox, 7.5. And I saw they actually, too, Scotty, injuries. They put Bello on the IL, one of their starters. So the Red Sox have lost a ton of guys as well in the rotation.
Another shame. Just the bad news just keeps rolling in, and I don't care about the Cubs or the Red Sox and any of their injuries. I'm staying on the Guardians until proven otherwise. They win every night.
I don't mind that either. We could do that. I think we should stay on the Pirates every night, too, as long as they're going to keep playing the Brewers and the way that they've been knocking them around. Bryce Wilson and Josh Fleming tonight at PNC. The Buccos plus $110 at home here. Brewers a minus 130 road favorite and a flat 8.
Can we get another Kutch leadoff home run 3 days in a row? Can we get a sweep?
The Kutch homer last night. Kutch has been hot for the Pirates so far here early going this season. We'll slide one more in Philadelphia.
They're playing them again tomorrow. It's a 4-gamer, by the way.
It's a 4-gamer. It is a 4-gamer. The Phillies are in Cincinnati again tonight against the Reds. Spencer Turnbull against Nick Lodolo as the pitching matchup. Reds minus 140. Phillies plus $120 and a flat 8. The Phillies will pound Lodolo tonight, Scotty. Give me the Phillies with the plus money.
I like it as well, but I'm also on the under. Both of these pitchers have been great so far, giving up no runs. I think this is a pitcher's game tonight in the Queen City, but I'll take the upset at that price with the Phillies and the under.
I'll give you the rest later on after Davis.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
He just tossed an air ball, like in a critical. You're up by 2 with 20 seconds left. You said, give me the ball, LeBron James. You tossed an air ball, and there was AD under the bucket fighting everybody, and he ends up going to the free throw line.
They used Tavares as a friggin' pinata tonight. Dude, I know you're old, but get it together. This is your last run at something, man. This is your career, bro. Don't go out like this. Oh, it was hard watching this.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
You're not going to get the Tiger Woods size audience. Because do you know where they went? They went to Caitlin Clark. That's where those people went.
What?
Those people are now going to the WNBA. Yeah. The fan that only watches what's hot, the fan, the casual who doesn't really like sports but likes to be involved in the in thing, they're watching
cooler discussion.
They're watching Caitlin Clark.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cash the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
Yeah, get a 33% multi-sport parlay boost token on BetMGM. Minimum 4+ legs plus 400 odds to be eligible for the boost token. Go to the BetMGM app or BetMGM.com for full details. Davis Maddock joins us from Fantasy Sports Today. You can check it out Saturday mornings on SportsGrid. He's on Coast to Coast every day. You can follow him on X at Davis Maddock, Mattek. All right, Davis, I want to start with those injuries at Wrigley Field. The Bellinger rib. Meanwhile, he was cooking. Hendricks, Smiley, all of them going to the IL. What a disaster.
It's a huge disaster. Bellinger is pretty much their best hitter. Smiley, one of their most important pitchers. They're in this really hotly contested division. They are 14-9 right now. That is only one game up on the Reds, 2 games up on the Pirates. And, you know, it also is kind of a cascading effect. So you don't have Bellinger available. Right now you don't have, say, a Suzuki available as well. He is also on the short-term IL. Who do those plate appearances go to? You know, I suppose Tauchman can play against righties. You probably don't want him playing as much. You can get Patrick Wisdom in there at DH, I suppose. Maybe he could capably play a corner outfield position. You also have, I mean, the bullpen has been a huge mess. Alzolay got removed from the closer position. Then Smiley was handling some of that stuff. It's not great there in the Windy City.
And then speaking of injuries to pitchers, Blake Snell got scratched today at Oracle, and Bello of the Red Sox, he's another one.
You know, I was wondering if something was going to end up happening to Snell. He did not look right in his first 3 starts, wasn't able to top 85 pitches, only got 13% swinging strikes in his 3 starts. You know, obviously the crazy 11.5 ERA. Guy just didn't look right. Doesn't really take, a scientist, a physicist to figure out why that might be. He didn't get his regular ramp-up time. He did not have his normal offseason. He wasn't with the team. He wasn't stretched out. He wasn't as ready to go as he would have been had Scott Boras figured out his contract situation before. And look, it's effectively a 1-year deal that he's on. Scott Boras cost him some money, man.
And then how about Merrill Lynch Kelly in Arizona? He's done for a month.
The pitching injuries, I mean, it basically just seems like if you are a starting pitcher in baseball this year, it is mostly a matter of when you are going to get injured versus if you are going to get injured. Now, Merrill Lynch Kelly, really good this season, actually building upon the last season. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, one of these teams, I mean, look, I was very surprised by them last season. They're off to this 12-13 start year. The hitting has actually been pretty decent for them. Gallen has been good for them, but Fott has not been good. Tommy Henry, I mean, until yesterday, it actually been brutal. They've had to use, kind of Ryan Nelson, who he himself is actually on the 15-day IL as well. Jordan Montgomery finally started yesterday and shoved. So I suppose Montgomery coming in is good news for them.
So tell me about the Royals, how they've had this start. I mean, even though they're 3.5 behind Cleveland, Cleveland's played like fire just from the jump, but so have the Royals and so have the Tigers. And I know you have interest in the Royals. So what do you think's doing it and how are they doing it?
I mean, Seth Lugo has been better than anyone would have anticipated. Brady Singer's turned into a very good starting pitcher. Michael Wacha has been fine. Weirdly enough, their worst starting pitcher this year has been Cole Reagans, who was, kind of like supposed to be the ace of the staff, their opening day starter. He left his last start early. We'll see if there's an IL trip for him there. But basically, the entire lineup is hitting. Nelson Velasquez is hitting. MJ Melendez is hitting. Bobby Witt Jr. is looking like he's worth every dollar of that contract. And Salvador Perez right now, 6 home runs, 182 OPS plus. He basically is having his best regular season in 4 or 5 years. Age 34 season seems kind of crazy. And Vinny P, 4 home runs, hitting 253, 355 OBP for him. My boy Vinny P, probably my favorite Royal to watch right now.
I mean, getting Lugo and Waka, I think, was the key to their season, that they got 2 starting pitchers. And then the way they ended last year, they really won. They were at a, nice clip at the last from September. They played great baseball. And then they're like, we got something here. Let's go get a couple of pitchers and make this real. And that's pretty much how they did it.
Yeah, and why give Bobby Witt Jr. a 12-year contract and then immediately be like, well, I guess we're just going to stink for the entirety of this 12-year contract? I like this thinking from the front office. You've got, a couple veteran guys who are real productive, Salvador Perez in there, and then they bring in Renfroe. Weirdly enough, 2 of the guys they actually paid money to, Adam Frazier and Hunter Renfroe, have been some of their worst hitters up into this point. You would expect, I don't know if Frazier's going to be able to turn the bat around. I think Renfroe really will. But I do wish more small market teams would do this, where if you luck into, they thought Reagans was going to be very good. You luck into a really good starting pitcher that you get for a relief pitcher and Bobby Witt Jr., you might as well spend a little bit of money.
So I wanted to look at some of your plays for tonight, your lion's share snags. I'm with you on that Oak City game. I said earlier that I didn't think they captured the moment very well on Sunday, and they messed around with the Pelicans, and they could have easily lost that game. I thought Dort played terrible. I thought Giddey was equally as bad. They got to get all 5 guys playing the way they play as a team, the way they played all year. The way they got that number 1 seed was getting everyone involved. And I thought Sunday they had 3 guys involved and 2 guys sleepwalking. But I'm with you here on this game tonight.
Yeah, look, I think they got their nervous, quaking in their boots game out of the way in game 1. Kind of the same way the Pacers looked so frightened against the Milwaukee Bucks in game 1. But they won that game. They won the game where they were young and inexperienced and not playing their best basketball. Why did they win that game? Because Chet and Shea are just built different. Those guys are built. Those are 16-game players, right? Those are the guys you're going to want to have on a championship-level team. No disrespect, no shade to the Pelicans, but no Zion Williamson. Now, Trey Murphy into the starting lineup, pretty good, but we're already, the winter of discontent for Brandon Ingram is already beginning because Trey Murphy might just be better than Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram sulked out of the game the other night, didn't do his media availability, wouldn't talk to his coach. Just feels like this is going to be probably a gentleman's sweep here for the Thunder, and I think they win big tonight.
All right, you got a couple of baseball games going. I want to start with that Seattle game at Globe in Arlington.
Yeah, we got Bryce Miller taking the mound for Seattle. He's one of my favorite young pitchers in baseball. Just does not walk anyone. He's a little bit too reliant on the fastball. Don't always love that. But and the Mariners, man, they are like 2 hitters away from really realizing what this team could be. But I think we got a rather large starting pitching advantage here with Bryce Miller over John Gray. No disrespect to John Gray, but I'm writing my guy Bryce Miller tonight.
So I am trying to figure out what your feeling is about this Astros game tonight at Wrigley. I know they have their injuries, and fair enough. And I think the Bellinger is definitely a problem and a big hole for their lineup. But this guy, Arrighetti, he gets lit up when he pitches. His ERA is almost 12. And I think
he does. Look, you're not
good.
wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just laying down the line. I don't think the Astros are nearly as bad as a 7-14 team. I look at their lineup, I look at the bullpen, I'm like, none of this really makes sense that they are, worse than the Oakland Athletics. And I don't know how much of their prior performance is bleeding into these lines, but my plan is just to kind of bet on the Astros until their record normalizes a little bit.
Did you like watching Ohtani hit those bombs? Like that bomb last night was huge.
That's all I want. I said it when he was undergoing the gambling investigation. All I care about, Scotty, in this life is watching Shohei Ohtani hit 490-foot dingers, and we got one last night.
All right, there he is. Davis Maddock, everybody, on the Lion's Share. My man, enjoy the games tonight. Thank you. Good stuff.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing? He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing. Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
They cannot allow Boston to get those rhythm jumpers. Those were rhythm jumpers, folks. I know some of the threes were deep, particularly Porzingis, but those were step right in threes. Those were not contested. And that leads to there must have been some kind of defensive breakdown by Miami. I will say this. I don't think Miami's getting swept.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
For the 2024 Stanley Cup odds, the Hurricanes remain the favorite, followed by the Panthers and the Rangers. Interesting that they all are coming from the similar side of the bracket.
While the Oilers have the top-end talent, I still don't think they have enough depth, and Stuart Skinner does not scare me in net. So I will take a long series from the Oilers and the Kings, and ultimately I think the Stars are the ones coming out of the West for the Stanley Cup.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Carver High under a tremendous strain, having issues with the spring break, having the kids home for the entire week, running roughshod over the house and on his nerves.
It's a long week. It's really like a week and a half because they're off this whole week and then they're off Monday and Tuesday next week as well. So it's like it's just a long haul. And look, when they're in school, you got the regular routine. When they're out of school, it's just chaos from morning all the way to night. That is for sure. Let's finish the baseball now here. The Dodgers, as we mentioned earlier, are still in D.C. against the Nats. Landon Knack is going to start for them tonight. Jake Irvin will start for the Nationals. Dodgers are minus 175. Plus $1.45 for the Nats, and 9.5. Another big total here tonight. They were way under the big total last night.
I still think the Dodgers lineup is tough to deal with, and they'll score more runs than the Nats. I don't care who's pitching.
The Tigers are at the Trop against the Rays tonight. This is a Waldo special. He told me he's going to this game tonight at the Trop between the Tigers and the Rays to see Jack Flaherty and Sean Armstrong as he gets ready because he's going to the Lightning game tomorrow night in Tampa. So, of course, he has the pit stop at the Trop in St. Petersburg on his way there. We have the Tigers tonight who are this is a pick'em, actually, it's moved to. Minus 110 both ways now for the Tigers and the Rays and a flat 8 total.
I'll take Flaherty and the Tigers. Why not?
The A's are still in the Bronx against the Yankees. Of course, third game of a 4-game set. Clark Schmidt goes for the Bombers. Joe Boyle, who pitching for Oakland tonight. The Yankees minus 250. A's plus 190 and an 8.5.
Boyle's been like having a boil. Your boy has been getting lit up for 8 runs a game. Give me the Yankees here, easy.
Braves are still have the Marlins in town. Sixto Sanchez and Ronaldo Lopez tonight. Braves, another heavy lumber game, minus 250. Marlins plus $1.95 and another big flat 9 total.
Lay the 1.5 with the Braves.
The White Sox are now 3-20 as they play the Twins tonight. Garrett, don't call me Davy Crockett on the mound for the White Sox. Jersey Joe Ryan is going for the Twins, who are minus 200, plus $1.65 for the White Sox, and 6.5 the total tonight. Look out.
Yeah, I'll go over that, and I'll go Twins lay the 1.5.
The Astros will try to get off the deck in Chicago tonight against the Cubbies. You talked about this guy Arrighetti before. He stinks with his 12 ERA at Wrigley. Jameson Shots of Tyone will go for the Cubbies tonight. They are minus 115, minus 105 for the Astros. And since now I know that Waldo's listening to us on his drive to the drop, we'll tell him that his Cubbies are probably going to win tonight as well, again against the Astros.
He's on the Alligator Alley. Your boy, Haro, driving across the Sunshine State, blazing in the 750, hitting a tune of around 94 miles an hour, windows down, hair blowing in the wind, glistening sunshine off his tanned face. I'm on the Cubs still with Jameson Shots of Tyone over your boy, Serengeti.
Serengeti. You keep pitching like that, he ain't going to have too many more starts in the big leagues, that kid on the Astros. The Blue Jays are in Kansas City still against the Royals. Yariel Rodriguez tonight against Alec Marsh to get this one going. Minus 135 for the Jays, plus $1.15 for the Royals, and another 8.5.
I am so on Marsh. He's unbeaten so far. And I'm getting that price, $1.15 at least. Give me the Royals at the K.
At the K tonight. The Mariners, who won 4-0 in Arlington last night against the Rangers, they'll try to do it again tonight with Bryce Miller. John Gray goes for Texas, who is minus 120. The Mariners are at even money and a flat 9 total in this one.
John Gray finally wins a game for the world champs tonight at Globe Life.
Yeah, your boy John Gray, he's had a rough go, that's for sure. And finally, the Padres are still at Coors Field against the Rockies. They will have Matt Waldron starting tonight. The Rockies, Scotty, still can't figure it out. They don't know who is going to be pitching for them in this game. The Padres are minus 160, plus $1.35 for the Rockies, and a flat 11. They jumped that total back up tonight.
I'm still on the Padres. I don't bet on the Rockies ever.
Yeah, I don't bet on the Rockies ever either. I don't care that they won last night. I don't want any part of them at all, ever. And they can't even figure out who's going to pitch for them, which is also a problem. So there you go. Tonight, in Major League Baseball for us. We'll have some tater. I forgot to do the tater time today, Scotty. I was so busy that it's a fail. So I will tweet out the tater time after we get done with Coast to Coast. I will try to make sure that I get all the fellas together for this evening. All right. How about we will start the hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey. In fact, we'll really dive into it when we come back because I know we have less than a minute left to go here. We have 3 games tonight. We'll come back and talk about the Rangers win, Florida with that overtime winner. Can you believe how many overtime goals, Scotty, this Verhaeghe has? He got 5 now in the last 2 years. The guy's become the king of overtime for the Florida Panthers. And we got a couple teams who got off the deck in the Western Conference. I'll give you the highlights and everything when we come back from the next break.
Yeah, I hit 3 of the 4 games. I lost the Lightning game. I took them, and we also, I agreed with you that there would be overtime. They don't lose in overtime, the Panthers. They have been one of the best teams in overtime, and last year they did this on their run to the final. Then this season they did it again. They've been dominant all year. This is a very tough hockey team. They are hard to beat.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad, bad, bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I admit, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Well, last night I thought at the end of the day, Trocheck and Zibanejad played the best for the Rangers, and they're lucky that they were up 4-2. Of course, they'd give up the goal after they took the too many men on the ice penalty, and immediately the Capitals, Wilson deflected a shot in the top of the net, and they got within one, but they couldn't close the deal, and the Rangers have a 2-zip lead in that series, and they're tough to deal with.
They are very tough to deal with. Washington did give them a little bit more of a push last night in game number 2, but results all the same. They're going back to D.C. down 2-0. Shorty goal for the Rangers in this one, Scotty. How about Keandre Miller getting involved on ESPN?
His brother Ryan was a New York Ranger. Here's Zibanejad. The takeaway has it back from Kreider. Beautiful pass, and they score! Keandre Miller, a shorthanded goal. And the Rangers lead 4-2.
There you go. Have fun with that team. I mean, they know how to put it in the net. I mean, that's what, 2 in a row. They scored 8 goals in 2 games.
They certainly did. They are on their way to D.C., where they will probably maybe finish that off. Maybe the Caps can get a game. We will see. Florida has taken a commanding 2-0 lead as well over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida an early 2-0 lead, Scotty. The Lightning respond with 2 goals in the second. We get our first overtime game of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And who else for the Panthers but Carter Verhaeghe? I am going to give you some numbers on him that are going to blow your mind after we listen to him winning it on ESPN.
Nice spin move by Kachuk. Freed up to Lundell on the doorstep. Holding. Shot. Score! Verhaeghe does it again in the playoffs. The Rats fly, and game 2 belongs to the Panthers.
Bob with shoes on with another great call. Our buddy. Anyway, look, Tarasenko had a goal. Bennett had a goal. And what a deal. They got Tarasenko, right? Like, this team only got stronger when they added this playoff gem. And then Verhaeghe's just constantly doing this.
He is now, Scotty, believe it or not, in the top 5 for the most playoff overtime goals in NHL
all time
history. Sakic has 8. He did it in 172 games. Rocket Richard has 6 in 132 games. Patrick Kane with 5 in 143 games. Corey Perry with 5 in 197. And Carter Verhaeghe has 5 in 47 games played. You heard that right. All the other guys, 100, 143, 132, 172. Verhaeghe in 47 games has 5 overtime game winners. That's nuts.
That's crazy.
Nuts. When you think about some of the names that we just gave you there, that he is alongside. So Tampa's got a lot of work to do at home in this series as they head back there. Colorado got off the deck in Winnipeg against the Jets. Great performance. Georgiev stepped up after being miserable in game number 1 and a really rough night on the other side. Josh Manson, I liked this one, Scotty. Out of the box, gets hit with the pass, makes it 4-2 on ESPN.
10 more seconds of 4-on-4 hockey. The dangerous Morrissey sends it across to Ehlers. He settles, turns on Lehkonen, falls down, can't do anything with it, and Lehkonen steals it. And McKinnon's on the ice for the final 10 seconds. Here he is to Manson, out of the box. Josh Manson scores! From the sin bin to the scoring sheet, and it's 4-2, Colorado.
How many times do you see it? You get a guy coming out of the box wide open, you feed him, and they finish. You get the defenseman with a goal. It's good to have Wood. Wood had a goal. Parise, a surprise goal from him. Zach's washed, but he's on his team trying to get a ring. It's his swan song. But you get Nishukin having a goal, Lehkonen having a goal. I told you yesterday, you want to get into a high-scoring game with the Avalanche, you're asking for trouble. They lost 7-6, and I told you they're going to turn around and do it again. They're going to put 5 or 6 in again, and they did it, and they win 5-2, and I bet on them and had plus money last night on that one.
So Hellebuck not sharp, Scotty, in these 2 games for Ferrellipeg. We know how great he's been in the regular season. His playoff numbers, though, the last few games have not been good at all. And Nashville beat the Canucks 4-1. They even that series at 1-1. I didn't think DeSmith was that great. I know Gabe said earlier he thought he didn't play that poorly. 2 of his goals I thought were pretty poor from DeSmith in that game.
I repeat, he stinks. Bavillier had a good game, and I thought Forsberg had a big game. Bottom line is Casey DeSmith doesn't win games.